5 plant lessons. G'day to all you lovely people and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kathy and today I wanted to share 5 plant lessons that I learnt in 2021. As far as I'm concerned, having plants is an ongoing learning experience. You find out some things work, you find out some things don't. I do feel I learned certain things last year and I thought I would share them with you guys. Okay, lesson number 1. You can have plants for several years, a year or two, and still have something go wrong. That was something I did not expect. I had several plants last year, which I had cared for over 2 years and did really well for me, all of a sudden start deteriorating or even dying. I was shocked. I thought, hang on, I know how to look after these plants. I've had them for 2 years. I just assumed I knew the care for this plant, and really, other than, say, pests, nothing could really go wrong. Not true. Yeah, definitely not true. I feel that this was a valuable lesson for me, to not take anything for granted, that things can still go wrong, that even though you think you know how to look after a plant, you can make a mistake or something else can happen. It happened to me with 2 of my favorite peperomias, my peperomia jade and my polybotria peperomia. They were only small plants when I got them, maybe so big, and yet in my care they grew massive. I thought so. I'll show you photos. And then they both started to die. I was gutted and I was baffled too. I thought, what changed? Perhaps I did overwater once or twice and didn't realize. I really don't know. Regardless, it's taught me to be more vigilant, to be more careful, and not assume that plants are going to be fine just because they have been fine for the last year or 2 or 5. Because I do know that this has happened to other people with plants that have had for 20 years even. So clearly we cannot ever take our plants for granted. Lesson number 2 is my plants are not going to die of thirst, which I always seem to feel they will. I think that is why I am an overwaterer. I'm concerned that they're going to die, so I water them when I shouldn't water them. Because I worry, oh my God, this plant needs water. It's dependent on me and he hasn't had water for a week, it must need more. No, they will not die. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't plants that require a lot more water than others, that once they start drooping you can tell it definitely needs a water, but I shouldn't assume that they're going to die of thirst because they're really not. Our home conditions are nothing like outdoors where they dry out because of the wind, they dry out because of the warmer temperatures, and they generally do need more water. It's certainly not the case with indoor plants. I don't think our indoor plants are going to die of thirst if we miss 1 watering or even 2. Now it's different though, if you leave them for several months, yes, then they might die. But generally, plants do tell us when they want some water. And that's something I have realized in the last little while is now I really feel I have reached the point where I can generally tell with most of my plants whether they need a water or not. And I'm erring on the side of caution. Previously, when my plants were close to say 1 or 2 and needing a water, I'd give them more water. I'd think, oh no, I can't leave it till next week. Yes, I can. And I think my peperomias especially would have appreciated me waiting an extra week. As an overwaterer, I think this is a very valuable lesson as well. to accept that no, my plants are fine. They are not going to die within a week because I didn't water them. Lesson number 3 is that there are certain species or genus of plants that hate my home, and I have to accept that. Not an easy one to accept. One genus which I have had no success with is alocasias, which are the devil. Yeah, I'm convinced of it. The 2 I have bought died within weeks of each other, even though it was warm temperatures and it was perfect conditions for them to grow. It's not like I had overwatered them. It was simply that they did not like my home. And I realized that perhaps my home conditions are simply not suited to these plants, which is okay because they are the devil anyway. But regardless, it was a tough lesson. It's a lesson that I don't find very palatable. I still want to go and get another alocasia, but I feel that I won't be able to keep it alive. So what's the point of wasting not just my time and energy, but also money? Now perhaps in the future I might try again, but at the moment I feel, I don't want to go near alocasias. Another genus I have difficulty with are Dieffenbachias. They are a pain in the butt. They are beautiful. I have a little bit of success with them. As soon as it gets a little cool in my home, they die. Now my understanding is Dieffenbachias require warm temperatures. I don't heat my house overnight in winter, and I think that might be why they are dying on me. I'm not willing to heat my home overnight just to keep a certain species or a couple of my plants happy. And I feel, well then clearly these plants should not be in my home because they will just die. If not now, they will die in winter. But that one's hard too because I really love some Dieffenbachias. But it's a toss-up, isn't it? Are you willing to make these concessions for a particular plant or aren't you? Some people are. Some people are prepared to keep their temperatures stable throughout the day and night. Some people are prepared to say, get humidifiers or grow lights or grow tents or greenhouses, whatever it is, to keep their plants alive. I'm not quite willing to go that far. I think it's enough that I have a humidifier. I also have difficulty with aglaonemas, but not all of them. I have one, the SIAM AURORA, which I think I've had now for 2 years. Every now and again it shows signs that it's not quite happy, but it hasn't died on me. So perhaps some aglaonemas I can keep alive, I'm not sure. But I have killed 3 others. For no reason as well. The last aglaonema that died on me was my Aglaonema hot lady, a large plant, which, wasn't cheap because it was a larger plant. It survived the entire winter and then it died in spring for no reason. And of course then we have peperomias, one of my favorite genuses. Wow. Yeah, I have struggled with so many that really I think they're telling me something that they don't want to be in my home. It's not like I killed all of them, but generally the finer leafed peperomias struggle in my care. And when I say home, it's not just my home conditions they don't like, they also don't like the care I give them. Definitely. Am I willing to give up on peperomias? No. No, I keep buying them because I just love them so much. And I know that the majority of my peperomias are doing all right. This is a hard lesson sometimes to accept because you want to bring these plants home. Ultimately, I think it is not being defeated if you give up on a species or a genus of plant. We really do have to think about where these plants come from and that sometimes our home conditions or our care is not suited to these particular plants. I have several plants that I bought as indoor plants, which are now living permanently outside. I have two Scheffleras. One is the umbrella tree Schefflera, I can't recall the name of it, and the other is the Arboricola, which is variegated. Both of them just kept dropping leaves inside my home or getting pests, and I got so sick of them that they're now living permanently outside and they are much, much happier. The other is my Macera sinisa, my China doll, Miss Fussy. She is killing it out here. She is so much happier than she ever was in my home. And I think sometimes we need to listen to what the plants tell us. And if they're telling us, I don't like it here, then we need to find an alternative for them, whether that is growing outdoors or giving them to someone else whose home conditions suit them better. But part of me still feels they defeated me. And yet, perhaps I shouldn't see it that way. Perhaps I should listen to nature and follow her advice. I usually spray my plants with sea salt, a seaweed extract solution, which is very heavily diluted in water, and then I spray the foliage and the soil of my plants throughout the year. Generally, I don't spray my plants with sea salt if they're not getting the water anyway. But last year I did. I sprayed everything, and I found that several plants of mine, which I've been able to keep alive no issue, were overwatered and nearly died on me. I hadn't considered that just because the sea salt was diluted, it was still water that these plants were getting. And that is something I have to really keep an eye out now in the future. I will not be able to spray everything. I will only be able to spray those plants that need a water anyway. Plant lesson 5, and I think this one is the most valuable one I learnt last year, is that it is okay to get sick of your plants and want a break from them. It's true. I felt so guilty when I didn't want to look after my plants, when I just couldn't be bothered. But I realized that, like anything, you can get tired. You can have an off week, an off day, an off month, and just feel, I don't want to have to stress about that, whatever it is. There could be many reasons for why you want a break from them. It doesn't really matter. We shouldn't feel guilty if we need that break. We should take that break. Now, I'm not saying to take off a month or two, because when you come back, most of your plants will be dead. But I think we can give ourselves a bit of leeway when we need time away from them. It's okay not to water them today or this week, and to wait until next week when you're in a better frame of mind, and not feel guilty. It's a hard lesson because you feel responsible for these plants. They are in your care. They are totally dependent on us. But taking a few days or a week or so, it's not going to kill your plants. If, however, you reach the point where you feel, I just don't want to deal with plants, I don't want them anymore, that is okay too. Then you can find new homes for them. You can get tired of a hobby, especially if you feel overwhelmed. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, I think it is a definite sign you need to calm back your collection, however many plants it is. Now, I have pets. I love my pets to death. I spend all my time with them. However, there are times I don't want to talk to them. There are times I don't want to see them. I don't want to have to deal with them. Now, I can't leave them for weeks on end or even days on end, but I can spend a few hours away from them. And I think the same applies to our plants. They can take even a bit longer than a couple of hours. I do feel that they're not going to suffer if we ignore them for a week. Now, that is some of the plant lessons that I feel I learnt in 2021. I would love to hear what you felt you learnt in 2021, and you can put it down in the comments or you can contact me on Instagram. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. I hope you found this video informative, useful, I don't know, interesting in some way. And if you did like this video, then you can do the usual. You can like and comment and subscribe if you haven't already, as it helps my channel to grow. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.